Good morning. My name is Richard Lund. I'm on a journey. I'm on a journey to live a healthy 100 years. I had one of my grandmas demonstrate this before me. She enjoyed life and she lasted beyond her 100th birthday. She saw parts of 3 centuries, which is really cool. So, Grandma Thunstead, you're my inspiration. Now, this morning, I'm doing what's called a fasting mimicking diet, but I'm not doing the official version because, quite frankly, I don't have that kind of money. I call mine the redneck version. So, if you've got the money, El Nutra is a great company, Prolon is a great product, you ought to buy it from them. And if you don't, instead of waiting, I'm just going to plunge ahead. I want to do better, and this is my 3rd month, so I've done a couple of stretches. It's basically lasts 5 days. It's a calorie restricted diet for those last 5 days, and that lasts for those 5 days rather. And also it focuses on certain blends of nutrition, a reduced amount of protein for normal folks. I don't eat a lot of protein anyway, but I'm just saying it's modeled around about 10% of your diet from protein, and then about equal weights of fats and carbohydrates. But we'll talk about that another time. So to say my first morning is macadamia nuts. Now, there's more of these today than there will be tomorrow. The macadamia nuts I'm using about 75 grams, and tomorrow I'll probably use about 35 grams. And I also have Popeye spinach. Popeye spinach is not a brand I've actually seen before, but Popeye was you can see Popeye in here. He was a character that were on the cartoons when I was a kid. And whenever he'd get into trouble, he needed some extra strength, and he'd open up a can of spinach and pour it down, and that gave him super strength. I don't think that's exactly truth in advertising, but spinach is good for you. And I switched my wife away from spinach to kale recently, and didn't have any cooked this morning, so I went to my canned spinach. So I have about 60 grams of spinach, is probably about a 1/4 cup of cooked spinach, and then I've added 1 teaspoon of nutritional yeast. This is the one I happen to have today. It's from Trader Joe's. Probably other brands are just as good, and this is the one I happen to have on hand. And I have my trusty Hollywood mug, and I have put in this morning a ginseng tea bag. It's American ginseng, and so I'm going to have that as my beverage. I am just about finished describing what I'm doing this morning. Again, this is a 5-day program. I eat a limited amount of calories each day, starting with about 1,100 today. The next 4 days will be at about 725 or 50. And then the breakdown as far as the distribution of calories, about 10% from protein, about equal amounts then of what remains from either fat or carbohydrates. So that's it. It's something that is achievable. I have been tired at different times the last 2 months when I did this, and I'm expecting a similar fatigue. But I'm not worried about it because it's worked so far, and I look forward to finishing the fast, or I should say the diet, and then on Saturday I do my rebuilding, beginning that with some soft carbohydrates mostly, and then Sunday go into a normal feeding. I usually eat plants mostly, and I think maybe once a month, incidentally, I'll have a piece of meat or something, but really not part of my regular eating program. I'm not asking you to adopt anything different. In fact, I'm not asking you to do a darn thing, except if you're interested in what's happening to me, listen to what I have to say, and that's all I can say. A blessing to you all, and look forward to coming back and reporting how lunch goes and perhaps dinner tonight. I don't want to be the most boring video on the web this week. I think my other ones achieved that the weeks they were published. But, there's something to being boring. I'm not sure what that means. Peace, and see you later, alligator. Bye. Well, I made it to lunch on day 1. month 3 of my fasting mimicking diet redneck version. I have my famous Norwegian cracker with a bunch of seeds that has kind of an even amount of fat because of the seeds and some good whole grain goodness from the rye flour. Then I was able to get a hold of garden vegetable from Dr. McDougall's White Foods. They call it a lower sodium soup, but the main thing is it doesn't have a lot in the terms of calories. It's got 60 calories total. It has 3 grams of protein, which is about as much as I want to have. And let's see. And there's 2 grams of fiber. Fiber is good. At least I'm a fan of fiber. And I have some special milk thistle, alcohol-free extract to make a tea. So it's a good Hollywood mug of milk thistle tea. Milk thistle is thought to be a tonic for the liver. And from what I'm learning about the liver, it does everything, almost everything. It's like a big factory, except it lives inside your body. Right over here. Anyway, or actually around that way too. So you get the idea. That's lunch, day 1. I'm doing okay. Actually been fairly busy working outside and inside. It's a hot day, but I'm still tolerating it just fine. Thank you for listening. Well, I made it to supper time on day 1 of my 3rd month of the fasting mimicking diet redneck version. And I'm having my little bowl of soup. I've got my Norwegian cracker with the seeds and the rye and whole grain. So what it does, it gives me some fiber in the food and some nourishment, but a small amount. I have been listening to an excellent teacher online on YouTube. His name is Chris Masterjohn, and he has a website called chrismasterjohnphd.com, I believe is the site. And I've been working through his video lectures on the biochemistry of metabolism. How do we get energy? And, you know, energy is pretty important. Without energy, it wouldn't matter what else we did. We couldn't move. We would just be a sack in the corner. And so it's pretty good. I've just been fascinated by his little points that he makes, and I think this young man is going somewhere in a good way. So he doesn't necessarily, adopt all the same ideas I have about how to eat, but it's okay because I can learn from other people even if they don't necessarily have my biases. Is that amazing or what? An old man saying he can learn from somebody who doesn't agree with. Okay. That's it for now. Oh, I just wanted to tell you that I did have a couple snacks this afternoon. Did have a cup of decaf coffee. I had 3 green olives, and I also had 2 shiitake mushrooms. I use those as just a way to kind of bridge through and get through. Because I do get hungry, and thinking about food, it's kind of reminds me of Ghostbusters, and they're the Ghostbusters on the temple top, and they are told to have a completely clear mind. And of course, I guess it's Ray was it Ray? I don't know. One of them, just the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man comes to his mind, and he can't stop thinking about it. And so the big demon turns into, I suppose, an 80 or 90 foot high Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and walks down Broadway. Or maybe takes a turn and comes up Fifth Avenue. The address of the building, I think, was 55 Center Park West. So it wouldn't be coming up Fifth Avenue. It's on the other side of the park. It's on the west side. That is part of my life. Looking back to early days, I'll just tell a small story about that movie. John DeCure Sr. was the production designer, and he decided that after they had another gentleman try to take backing photographs, that they would bring me in to do it. And I remember getting to New York. It was dark. It was in the probably winter time, more or less. And it was raining. And Jay Moore, who was the New York art director, decided that that was a really good evening to do scouting. And so we we went up to the roof of Central Park West, number 55, and then we went up a ladder, a wooden ladder in the dark that was probably rusted, to get up to the place where the water towers are held, that level. And I went ahead and went with it. And so it was just a little bit of a fearful experience, thinking like, what if this ladder, what if the bolts come loose and I go down? It didn't happen. And I'm sure that Jay had been up there in better light and other times, so he knew it was going to be fine. But I don't know what this has to do with food, but I'll tell you. I am ready to eat, and so I'm going to say goodbye for now and see you tomorrow morning. Hello, it's morning of day 2 of month 3 of my fasting mimicking diet, redneck version. My own concoction in order to allow myself to experiment. And as I mentioned before, the nuts this morning are fewer in number and weight. I think I'm at about 34 grams of pecans. Pecans and macadamias are good choices because they're relatively high in fat and they're relatively low in protein. And so the first pass I did this month 1, I used walnuts, but that was not as good a choice. And I'm very happy to adopt the pecan or macadamia nut. I usually, days 2 through 5, I take around 33, 34 grams of nuts. In addition, I have my approximately 1/4 cup of spinach, but I did weigh it out. This is cooked spinach, so weighing it out is about 60 grams. Now there's some water, from the cooking, but that's fine. And on the top of that is this stuff called nutritional yeast. I take that with this to add just a little bit of a B complex, a B vitamin complex. And I have the green tea extract from Sprouts that I have put into my Happy Hollywood mug here. I also have a leftover tea bag from American Ginseng, but I could still smell the ginseng, so I thought, I don't want to waste it, And that's what's in here. And, oh, boy, that tastes pretty good. So, good job. That's it for today, except to say that when I awakened, I did sleep well. However, I do also have to say that I was fairly hungry this morning. So it may be a tough day. I don't know. Maybe I'll forget about it. I have lots of work that's come in, things I have to deal with. So, it may be just something that it's a passing fancy, so to speak. Still looking forward to Saturday when I can start the refeeding, day 6. Thank you. Well, it's lunchtime on day 2 of month 3 of my own version of the fasting mimicking diet, redneck version. And today I've got organic quinoa vegetable. Just to read the ingredients for you. It's got 90 calories. It's got a total of 1 gram of fat. It has 16 grams of total carbohydrate, including 2 grams of dietary fiber. And it has 3 grams of protein. That is about as small a portion as you can get and actually have real food, which is okay. I have my cracker. I did have 3 green olives this morning. I needed a little break. And I think I probably had an extra cup of tea. Again, I'm having the American Ginseng tea in my Hollywood mug. And I'm just about ready to start eating. I particularly like this vegetable soup because these tiny little grains of the quinoa are in there. And the potatoes are there. It has a little bit of, looks like spinach or some other kind of green in it. And some tomato. It's good whole food. and it's important to have fiber because, quite frankly, we don't want to take these 5 days and give the gut bacteria a chance to change their ways, so to speak. It's one reason why I still favor a plant-based diet. I know today it's popular to have a ketogenic diet. Various athletes and so forth have taken to eating a lot of fat and some more meat and not very much on the complex carbohydrates, especially starches. But I'm still really happy with my starches because that gives me a lot of fiber. I mean, I know that I need to get 30 or 40 grams of fiber a day. And the way I used to eat when I ate a lot of meat and fat was like, I bet you I wasn't getting 10. That is enough said. Thank you for watching. Hey, this is Richard Lund, and I made it to supper of day 2 of the fasting mimicking diet, my own redneck version. So I have my soup, and I've got my Norwegian cracker. I found my hibiscus tea bags, so I put one of those in with the American ginseng. And that's going to be my supper. I am starting to taste the acetone, which is an indicator that I'm starting to make the ketone bodies, which are made in the liver. And the liver makes ketone bodies 4 times when we don't have enough food, because ketone bodies can be used by the brain for energy. Normally, the brain likes glucose. Now, of course, the liver also is generating glucose. Believe it or not, the liver can make glucose. They call that process gluconeogenesis. Remember, we had our glycerin. Now, I haven't mixed any up, but tomorrow I'm going to mix some up. I'm going to take a tablespoon of glycerin and put it in my bottle of water and have that as a little bit of something to keep me going. The glycerin can be converted, that's a 3-carbon unit, can be converted to pyruvate. And pyruvate can be made into acetyl-CoA, which would drive the citric acid cycle. But the other thing that it could also be used for is to make oxaloacetate, or sometimes called OAA. And oxaloacetate will then be made available traveling from the cells to the liver, where it is involved in the process of gluconeogenesis, making glucose. So I think the reason for including a little bit of the glycerol, which also is being made available by the fats that we're burning for energy, because every time you have a triglyceride coming in, you have the 3 fatty acid chains that are removed from it, and then you have the glycerol left over. So we have that plus a little extra. Anyway, that's, I guess, of interest to nobody but me. So I definitely have had a weaker feeling this afternoon. I did have to go out to an audition. I didn't have to walk a long ways, maybe a block or so, but it's really hot. And so, I was glad to get there, take care of the audition, and then get back to the car and come home. And when I got home, I just wanted to go lay down. So I'm going to have my dinner, and I'll probably lay down and take it easy. So taking it easy is okay. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Well, good morning. It is hump day. Day 3 of month 3 of the fasting mimicking diet redneck version, my own made-up version, not related to that excellent product from El Nutra called Prolon. If you got the bucks, buy theirs. I'm not selling anything. I'm I'm learning as we go. One of the things I learned from Chris Masterjohn, that's chrismasterjohnphd.com, is that my friend niacin, which I had been taking to lower my triglycerides to help with that, unfortunately is a bad choice during the period that I'm trying to build up beta hydroxybutyrate, which is one of the ketone bodies that our liver makes when we don't have enough food. The reason why is when the beta hydroxybutyrate gets in a high level, it inhibits further release of the fatty acids from the fat cells. However, niacin does the same thing. So this is not the right choice for my homemade FMD. So I'm putting that aside. One thing I am going to take is the NutriStem Cardio. Now, the cardio is not that important, but the NutriStem has a couple different products that all have the same base formula. And those formulas are intent to, I believe, to stimulate stem cell regeneration, but also may have something to do with something called senescence. But I'm not sure about that. But a senescent cell is a cell which has come to rest. It's not really actively dividing and growing. And unfortunately, when more of our cells do that over time, because the senescent cells give off, I'll just call them cytokines. There might be other molecule names, but they give out cytokines that are inflammatory. So part of a chronic inflammation in an older person, like me, is because of senescent cells. Now, there's a class of molecule called a senolytic. Seno would have to do with the senescence resting, and lysis, which comes from Greek, which means to either loose or destroy. So senolytics help the senescent cells to get a move on and get out of town. Go kill yourself. I mean, that's a little bit harsh, but that's what they do. One of those is called quercetin. And I have a feeling there's a whole bunch of those out there. So over time, we'll figure all that out. But in the meantime, is that the way I'm eating this week also triggers that same effect. However it works, I don't know. But again, I've got I guess today, about 34 grams of the pecans. And I've got about a quarter cup of spinach with 1 teaspoon of nutritional yeast. Now, of course, for you smarty pants folks out there, nutritional yeast has some niacin. 1 teaspoon has about maybe a third of what we would normally take in during the day. So I'm going to take a chance. It's going to be okay. But I'm not going to take a big dose like I was before, at least during this 5-day period. And we got some other things to talk about. Today is a day for me to renew my relationship with my buddy Glycerin. So I'm just going to move this over and put a little glycerin in this glass so that I don't spill it all over the table. And I'm going to pick up my bottle of Fiji water. Again, Fiji choice for me because of the high silica content. And silica has a way of helping us get rid of certain metals like aluminum in the body that we don't really want for any reason. So I've got my drippy glycerin going on here. Try to put it in the bottle. 1 tablespoon. And that's it. And that will be what I drink today, along with my excellent herbal tea. Again, this morning it's still hibiscus and the American ginseng. Well, that's it for Hump Day breakfast, and I'm looking forward to doing better today. I feel actually better today, this morning, than I did last night. I was pretty tired last night, and I don't think I'm as tired now. So let's say that the ketone bodies have probably started to kick in, and over this 5-day period, they will continue to accelerate in terms of production and concentration. The muscles apparently start using less of the ketone bodies because the fatty acids are in competition, and they are more effective at supplying energy through beta oxidation. Oh, that's a bunch of words. Thanks for listening. Well, it's hump day, hump lunch, and I just want to say thank you for watching. Not going to say too much, except I'm back to the organic tomato soup from Dr. McDougall. The numbers are total calories for serving, which are of course 2 in this one box. We have total fat 0, total carbohydrate 18 grams, dietary fiber 2 grams, yay fiber, and protein 2 grams. That's about 10% of the vitamin A needed for every day, and 15% of the vitamin C, according to the the government, whoever they are. I've got my water here with the glycerol in it. I've had a little this morning, and I'm going to have a little bit more soon. And my happy Norwegian cracker with all the seeds. And that is my lunch. Oh, today I'm doing, in my Happy Hollywood mug, I'm doing green tea extract that has been made into a tea. So, thank you for watching. Well, it's day 3, month 3, of my fasting mimicking diet redneck version of my own invention. I have been taking the NutriStem, and I will continue. Just as a reminder, it has some vitamin D in there. It's got some blueberry. It's got some carnosine, which I'm not really, I think I looked it up once. It was a protein. And green tea extract, which is very similar to the one that I have in liquid form that I use as a beverage. Tonight I'm having my Happy Hollywood mug filled with decaf coffee, and I have my Norwegian cracker and my bowl of tomato soup, and that's dinner. Fairly weak this afternoon, but I was able to do some work today, so I'm thankful for that. And looking forward to finishing this again. But I would have to say I had some back pain this afternoon, and I have still some discomfort this side of my ribs over here, which is a personal thing. Doing this for me, of course, is different than perhaps for someone else, because I am who I am, and I have, I'm still overweight quite a ways, over what would be ideal weight. So I've got a lot of fat to lose, and there may be things that I do that don't work out for other people because maybe they don't have as much fat, or maybe they have more fat. Who knows? So I'm just saying this is just for a particular person, me, to work with, and up to now, I'm glad for the progress I've made. I'm trying to get my life in a really good spot so I can do that healthy 100 years. Thanks for listening. Well, good morning. It is the morning of day 4 on my fasting mimicking diet redneck version. And this morning, I went hog wild and decided to mix nuts. So I have some pecans and some of the macadamia nuts. I'm not sure why, just for variety. And we have our normal, approximately a 1/4 cup of spinach cooked with 1 teaspoon of nutritional yeast. My breakfast beverage is the hibiscus tea with American ginseng. And then I thought I would add a little bit of Korean ginseng. A friend of mine recently started carrying this line. Jeongkwanjang. I don't know. It's a very interesting herb. It's considered to be more of a yang herb than a yin herb, like the American ginseng is. And normally would be avoided by older people. But he suggested that I try it. And he said, I told him, usually red ginseng, or sometimes called red ginseng. It's the Panax ginseng, the official ginseng. That it has a certain, it's for somebody who has a lot of heat in the body, it's not a good idea. Now, I think over time, I used to have what they, I'm talking Chinese medicine now. Heat and dampness used to be my principal characteristics. And, but now, not so much heat, not so much dampness. I think that's probably due to the weight loss over time. I've before I began this particular cycle, I was down about 90 pounds. And I may be down more now, but I'm not going to worry about that yet. Anyway, so I'm going to take a cute little teaspoon of this. Now they have this inner seal on the bottle. So you have a cap that's plastic that fits into this very tightly, very nicely, and then this really fancy lid. So it's a matter of it's supposed to be one of these little spoonfuls. It's very concentrated. It's an extract, and it has, well, I'm not sure it's, anyhow, it's kind of an interesting flavor for those of you who haven't had it. Sometime in your life, you'll try it. And I'm going to try it right now. But when I put it in my mouth, I'm not going to be able to talk a whole lot because it's kind of, I have to lick it. And that's kind of unpleasant. So I just want to say, thanks for tuning in. Reflecting back on the night, I slept fairly well, not perfectly. I did go to class last night. I go to a kind of workout group class for voiceover on Wednesday nights frequently, and I decided to come home a little early. I'm glad I did. I was feeling a little bit weak. Doing the fasting mimicking diet that Walter Longo teaches, he suggested people are a little careful operating a motor vehicle. And it's probably good advice until you know how you're doing. And I felt like I was really glad to be home. Nothing wrong. It's just us, things are different in the body during this season of time, especially day 4 and day 5. Well, I guess that would be day 3 yesterday, wouldn't it? Anyway, so it's now going to drip onto my spinach. Watch it drip. You can see how wonderful it is. Okay, so now I'm having spinach with red ginseng. Anyway, I think you've seen that my brain is obviously fueled by glucose and ketones, and the glucose ready-made by the liver, and the ketones as a replacement for that energy for the brain, in order that I don't waste too much muscle. That's the whole point behind ketones, is they provide the brain energy and spare the body from having to use up, a kilogram of protein in order to make 200 grams of glucose, which is rather inefficient. But that's not to criticize the maker. Thank you for watching. Well, it's lunchtime at day 4 of month 3 of my fasting mimicking diet redneck version. And same old boring Norwegian cracker. But they're actually pretty good. And I'm trying a different soup today. I'm trying Annie's vegetable soup. And it has 80 calories total. It has no fat, according to this. Total carbohydrate of 17 grams and 3 grams of dietary fiber, which I'm happy about that part. 3 grams of protein. So, again, this is 2 portions, one for lunch, one for dinner. And I've seen Annie's in the markets for years, and, familiar with it a little bit. Not as familiar with their company as I am with Dr. McDougall as far as a theoretician or a food supplier. But thought it was worth a try. And it seems to have some peas, which I haven't had in the others. I don't know if it has any potato. It has some corn, which is nice. I like corn. And I'm also doing the Nutristem today. And last month, when I did this, I continued on for maybe a at least a week and a half in the rebuilding phase, taking this supplement, because I think that's especially when it's necessary, or at least should we say beneficial. This is, presuming that they did their science right. NutriStem Cardio is the one I have on hand, and there's another one that I've used before. I think it's called NutriStem Active, and they may have some others that are in the pipeline. That's my story. I made some green tea, not directly from tea leaves, but from an extract, and then diluted it with water. So that's what's in my Happy Hollywood mug. I don't know if you could see this soup before, but this is, well, I think you've seen vegetable soup, and this is happens to be a healthy one. So I'm going to taste it just to see how it is. It's perfectly acceptable, and so I will say, yeah, but I'm going to probably go back to Dr. McDougall's. Thanks for listening. Well, here I am at the supper meal of day 4 of the Fasting Mimicking Diet, month 3. This is the redneck version. I have to say that my energy level has definitely gone over a cliff this afternoon. I was out doing some errands, ended up picking up my wife, and she wanted to make a stop, do some errand for her. And by the time I got home, yeah, I wanted to just go lay down. But first I had my olive snack and my mushroom snack. I had 2 shiitake mushrooms and 3 green olives. And I went and lay down for a while. Tried to learn by listening to some video. I have to say my brain is it's not very sharp right now, or maybe it's the energy level, but whatever it is. So I've got myself some American ginseng tea, some garden vegetable tomato soup from Annie's that has basically, they take the potatoes that would be in the Dr. McDougall soup and they put in these little macaroni particles, fragments, I don't know what they're called. And I've got my snack cracker, my Norwegian cracker. Now on the table, this is what happens when you get near a Trader Joe's and you don't have to report to anybody. I picked up another bag of sweet potatoes. I actually got 2, and a bag of the yellow gold, because these are going to be my refeeding foods. After my breakfast, which will be oatmeal on Saturday morning, I'll have some wonderful gold potatoes or sweet potatoes or both for lunch and dinner. So that's what I'm looking forward to right now. And I'm also thankful that I was able to get this far, and looking forward to, plowing through tomorrow, because the changes that are being made in my body are really good, really good. And it's a little tough to get through. It isn't a case of great willpower. I have to say that if I was doing a water fast, I would have given up last night, I think. But with a little bit of food, kind of helps you keep going. It's just that little, oh, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, kind of a little encouragement along the way. It's kind of like finding a snack. It really is a snack. I don't think I'm making much sense. So I'm going to say thanks for watching, and Lord willing and the creek don't rise, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Good morning. I made it to day 5. This is month 3 and day 5, morning breakfast of my Fasting Mimicking Diet redneck version. And I'm okay, but I definitely went to bed early last night, so I don't expect to have a lot of stamina for the day. I'm going to try to get my necessary things done this morning. See how I do. Again, pecans for breakfast, 34 grams, and some little bit of spinach. It's already been cooked, about a quarter cup, with 1 teaspoon of nutritional yeast, and my new favorite breakfast beverage, American ginseng. Yeah, still alive. Continue to be encouraged by what I'm seeing in my body. But I definitely run out of steam pretty fast. So we'll talk to you later. Well, I made it to lunch on day 5 of my 3rd month of the fasting mimicking diet, redneck version. And I still love my Norwegian crackers with the seeds. And I got my tomato soup. This one is from Dr. McDougall. I'm going to be taking my Nutristem Cardio, a couple of these this afternoon. I did have 3 olives this morning and an extra cup of tea. I've also got some coffee, some decaf coffee, ready for my lunchtime meal. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be this morning. I thought it would be really tired. I did lay down for an hour, so I got to admit that. And people who are listening to this are probably only motivated because they want to try something themselves. And if you just came across this and you think, how could this guy be any more boring? It's not possible. I have worked on the boring part as long and as hard as any human alive in the last 20 minutes. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. We'll see you tonight. Well, it's Friday night, supper time, of my 3rd month of the fasting mimicking diet, redneck version. And I'm glad to have made it. Looking back on the week, I think Wednesday afternoon and Thursday all day were my toughest days. Today I've had fairly good energy, although I've taken it easy. And I'm certainly looking forward to eating. Hunger, it's been there, but not insurmountable. So I've got my ginseng tea, some wonderful tomato soup, and my trusty Norwegian cracker. Thank you very much for tuning in. I don't know if I'll record tomorrow morning. Probably not. But to say I appreciate you coming along with me on my journey of living a healthy 100 years. Bye for now. It's Richard Lund signing off.